Do you ever wonder why New Year's resolutions are such a joke? They really shouldn't be. It's a person telling the world where they are and where they want to be. Most people try it for a week, maybe 2 weeks, but you fast forward to February and they're exactly where they started. Why is that? Well, that is the topic of today's video. You see, there's one skill that if you have it, all these techniques, all these tricks, all these business models, they all work. And if you don't have it, none of them will work. That skill is discipline. Discipline makes the difference in who succeeds and who quits. Discipline makes the difference between the person that has quit their New Year's resolution in February and the person that sticks with it all year. As Jim Rohn famously said, discipline is the difference between your goals and your accomplishments. How true. Let's take a time management technique, for example. Let's say time blocking. So let's say before every night, you're going to block out the most important task for the day. Now, this will work and you will end up doing the most important task if at every night you block out the times and then the next day you do the tasks in the order that you said you're going to do them. But if there's one night you're feeling tired and you wake up the next day and you haven't done it, then the time management technique has failed. But what really has failed, it wasn't the time management technique, it was your discipline. So what we're going to do here today is we're going to go over the purpose of discipline, and then we're going to go into some small techniques you can use to keep yourself disciplined. The first one is consistency. Consistency is key. Consistency is what you're after. Consistency is what's going to allow you every night to do the same thing at the same time, to put in the time blocks that you're going to block out that time for the next day. The next one is focus. This is probably the most crucial one. Underline that one, write that down. What we focus on expands. If we're focused on distractions, we'll keep being distracted. The time management technique works because we're trying to focus on our most important task, but if our focus deviates, then the technique will fail. Now, the last major point is accountability. Accountability, holding yourself accountable. If you said you're going to do the New Year's resolution, you have to do the New Year's resolution. If you deviate from that, you have to hold yourself accountable, and we're going to go into some of those techniques in a second. So I want you to take a moment now and think of one thing you want to focus on, to be consistent with, and to hold yourself accountable. It can be any goal. It can be a financial goal where you want to start this business and you want to do an hour a day. Right when you wake up, you want to get an hour a day done of work. It could be going to the gym. Just think of one thing that you would want to change in your life, and think of one habit that you could start working on tomorrow, or today is even better, to start focusing, being consistent, and holding yourself accountable to. Now, these are the methods. So, the different methods you can use. The first one is going to be start small. We all have that friend, hasn't been to the gym in 2 years, and they says, hey, I'm going to go to the gym today. I'm going to work my ass off today. Is in the gym for 2.5 hours, really pumping it, putting all of his muscles into it. He wakes up the next day and he's sore. He's not going to go back to the gym today. The goal of going to the gym wasn't to go to the gym one day and get completely sore and not go back for another 3 months. The goal is to build a routine, because you're not going to see results after one day. That's foolish. You're laughing at time there. The goal is to build consistency, focus, and to hold yourself accountable to something that you can realistically do. If you went to the gym and you said, I'm going to bench 200 pounds a day, and you're as frail as a stick, well, that won't work. You have to build up to that. So what we're going to do is start small. What can you do? What's the smallest amount of thing you can do tomorrow? If you want to start running an hour a day, can you just run tomorrow for a minute? Could you go on a treadmill for 30 seconds? What's the smallest thing? Start building the habit, and it'll slowly expand over time. But you need to get yourself into that consistency, into that focus, and start getting yourself positive self-talk so that you can build that habit. Okay, once we have that small one, we're going to build a routine. So you start small with one habit. Now you want this to be a routine. So I've talked about this many a times. You're going to pick one thing you want to take out, and you're going to replace this new good habit, you perceive it as a good habit, and you're going to start building a routine. So you're going to say, at this time, every day, I do this. Okay? The best times to do it are when you first wake up or when you are about to go to bed, because your brain can correlate it with another habit. And that's also a trick for habits you build in the future as you build out your own routine. It's easier to build a habit if your brain is already correlating it with something else. So if you want to start running, it's easy for your brain to say, oh, right when I wake up, I do this. That's why you brush your teeth every day, because it's like right when you wake up or before you go to bed. As you build out your routine, you can slowly stack habits on top of each other, which is my favorite thing to do. So instead of just running, you run, eat, shower, blah, brush teeth, all the four, and then you have that, and it's like an hour block, and it just becomes your morning routine. That's the best way to do it. Okay, this one is going to throw you off. Study. You need to start studying yourself. This goes back to the accountability. When you study yourself, you're trying to notice in yourself what is making you tick and what is making you fall off the wagon. The reason why people in February fail their New Year's resolutions is because something else comes up or something in their mind makes their habit not as rewarding. Their brain doesn't see it as useful, so it knocks it out. What we need to do here is study why. Start to ask the right questions and you'll start to get the right answers. Why am I falling off the wagon? Why can't I stay focused? Why am I not consistent? Why can't I hold myself accountable? Ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers. So to expand upon that study, these are some challenges you might have encountered. We call these challenges. Could be obstacles. First one, and I know a lot of you are going to like this one, procrastination. Put procrastinate on there. Procrastination is a disease a lot of people go through. I've made other videos where I go very in depth on this, but to put it bluntly, procrastination comes from an overwhelm. When you see the task as too big, your brain doesn't see it as rewarding to do the task because it sees it as too much work for the reward you would get. All you need to do is break that big task into smaller daily actionable steps and reward yourself for doing them. Then your brain will say, oh, that's easy, I can do that. And then you'll end up doing it. Another thing about procrastination, and it's another challenge people have, is distractions. I have friends that work with their phone on their desk. Now, I understand some people need their phone to do the work. Completely get that. Some of them don't need it. But some of them are working with their phone on their desk with notifications on. Ding, 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 ding. And then they wonder why they can't focus. And they wonder why that hour they were consistent. Because you're distracted. You need to identify and minimize all the distractions in your room. Anything. Could be as simple as this orange ball. Sometimes when I'm working, I get up and throw this ball at a wall. Don't even know why. It just takes me off it. It is procrastination because I'm distracted. Because I don't see the task as rewarding enough to do it. I'd rather throw a ball at a wall. The most brain-dead task you could think of. Now, this is the last one. This is the New Year's resolution killer. This one does it. Burnout. Burnout. There could be a whole host of reasons that you burn out. A whole host of them. Remember the person at the gym? Went too hard on day 1. Day 2, they're already burnt out. What you need to do? Study yourself. Study yourself. Why am I burning out? Why don't I feel like doing it today? Why? These things, these feelings, these emotions we have, they're not just random. They don't just come out of nowhere. The law of cause and effect states that for every effect we have, something is causing it. Something within us is causing us to burn out. The best way to avoid burnout is to take rest. Now, a lot of you workaholics are going to frown at that, but you'll get 4, 5, 6 months out into the routine that you're focusing on and being consistent with, and you won't want to do it anymore. Your brain won't see it as rewarding anymore. It's because you haven't taken rest. Even the biggest bodybuilders, they understand the muscle needs to rest, recover, rejuvenate, build back up so that you can focus and be consistent and keep your habit in order to remain disciplined. Okay, so there's a lot more I could go into, but it looks like my board's pretty filled up. Discipline is a learned skill. Anyone can learn it. Anyone can achieve anything they want if they remain disciplined. Now you have to, the biggest point on this board is to study yourself. Study what is making you burn out, study what you are distracted by, study what you are procrastinating on, and then use the steps accordingly to build your routine, remain consistent, ultimately achieve anything with discipline.